Virgo, welcome to your September 2022 General Tarot reading. It's Rena here. Well. Okay, so this is just a little bit of disclosure here. I started putting out some cards. I didn't even look at what the cards were, but the first three cards that I picked were reversed, and then I looked at the piles that I had, and they were all turned upside down. So I do read reversed cards, but I don't, I also understand that sometimes the deck is picked up upside down, and then that's just, they're all going to be reversed. Even when you have an upright deck, you get reversed cards. So I'm going to just go back to the drawing board and do it. I don't think this is cheating. I think it's just, I should have been more aware when I was shuffling, or before I shuffled, to make sure that they were going to be pretty kosher like that. So I'm recording this on the new moon in Virgo. My moon is in Virgo, so that's kind of cool beans, as they say, as the kids say. Okay. All right, start spreading the news. All right, so, okay, well, it's interesting because I always make astrological connections when I do the tarot. That's just how I roll. And what we have here as the central theme for September is the moon card. Now, there is a new moon, full moon in Pisces that is happening mid-month, or actually it's on the 10th of September, around then. So that's not really technically in the middle, but it's in the second week of September. So this affects the 7th house, which has to do with relationships for you. And I did get some kind of vibe that this could be relationship related, because in the past position, we have the Three of Swords. And that's a card, they really go all out with this one. This can be a card of some kind of heartbreak. And, when you have heartbreak, it means that something is happening that is unwanted. Whether it's somebody cheating or leaving. And the moon card really, to me, speaks about not only the timing of things, but also about what is really going on behind the scenes. Because the moon always suggests that somebody might be lying to you. Now, this could be work-related for sure. For instance, the Three of Swords. I always think of the Three of Swords when somebody doesn't get a promotion, when somebody doesn't get a raise, but maybe somebody else in their workplace does get those things, and they feel that sense of rejection. Three of Swords can be rejection or something along those lines. But another thing the Three of Swords can be is a heart operation, or cutting something very cleanly like a surgeon would do. So if it was relationship related, sometimes it can be like just cutting off a relationship because it just is not serving you. So it doesn't mean that you're going to be a victim of anything. You could be actually taking some kind of, like self-empowered action, like you're the one doing it, instead of what I've been characterizing like it's the other person. And in that scenario, the moon card could be that your intuition is really on point, really coming online, and so you're able to tap into these kinds of things. Because, speaking of the full moon in Pisces, I'm trying to remember what degree it's in. I don't know why I can't remember what degree it's in. I was just thinking about this the other day. I think it's supposed to be 17 degrees of Pisces, but I'm not entirely sure. Because the reason I was wondering, well, first of all, because of my I have Saturn in Pisces. I have some in Chiron and the moon opposing it. But I was also thinking in terms of Neptune, because Neptune is like, I don't know, 20-something, maybe 25 degrees of Pisces. I can't remember the exact degree. But I don't think it's necessarily close enough to form a conjunction. But the reason that I'm talking about Pisces or Neptune is because that's your 7th house. And you've had Neptune hanging out here for 10 years. Now, I'm saying this in a general sense. Your mileage may vary depending on your natal chart and where the 7th house begins for you. But that can lend itself to deception in long-term relationships. And, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is, right? I mean, it happens. The higher message is the Knight of Wands, and this is Sag energy. Oh, that must be why they have the horse in the background. I like to think of it as Aries, the warrior energy. And it's masculine energy, of course, in my woke deck, the Light Seers Tarot, they have a woman. And, I mean, it's like double masculine energy. I think it's like double fire. But in any case, what I think for Virgo, it's like waking this sleeping giant, or maybe I should say sleeping lion, inside of yourself that maybe you have kind of tolerated a bunch of nonsense for too long and you finally have had enough, Virgo, and now you're gonna, I mean, this is the spiritual lesson in all of this, is to really come into your own rather than allowing other people to dictate what happens to you, whether, you know, if this is a work-related thing, you don't have to beg anyone to hire or, you know, to promote you or to see your worth. Because Virgo people tend not to be flashy. Now, that could definitely be altered if you have inner planets in Leo, because Leo is very overpowering. But in general, or even like rising, moon or rising signs that are very, you know, fire energies like Aries, Sag, or even air signs that tend to be very expressive, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But aside from that, you're just a very nondescript type of a person. And some of you may take offense to me saying that, but I actually think that's a good thing. Even though I'm a Sagittarian, I have the moon in Virgo and I have Taurus rising, and I just like, my energy like meshes better with somebody who has earth energy, because the fire signs can be draining, you know, sometimes if they're like always on. And yet maybe you have, you know, I think of Virgo sometimes so much like your opposite sign Pisces, that you get put upon because you're so willing to help other people, and sometimes you have to help yourself. And sometimes you have to grow backbone and, you know, be willing to take care of your own business. You know, when I think of the Knight of Wands, I think of somebody who's going on an adventure, but they're really celebrating their wild self, versus that very scheduled, maybe overscheduled, a little bit nervous, persnickety Virgo vibe, you know, that can overtake you. This is more loosey-goosey and very spontaneous and things like that. And you may have had to go through something to get there, but it's all good because you're there now. What crosses you is the Seven of Cups. This is a card of wishful thinking, sometimes being, you can see the person he's trying to choose, trying to choose the right path for you. One of the nice things about this is it can be that there's a lot of options for you right now. You know, this is when the sun is in your sign, towards, I mean, for the first few weeks, and you'll have personal plans in Virgo too. And then you have, you know, the energy moving to the second house in Libra, and that's good too, because you'll have a new moon here on September 25th. That's an earth house. It's Taurus's domain. So that isn't like, you know, a step down. It's actually, you may really vibe well with that. But the Seven of Cups, because I'm getting the moon and the Seven of Cups in the same reading. So there could be some kind of delusions going on, meaning illusions directed towards yourself. Could be like somebody breaks up with you, or even you breaking up with them, and then you feel like tempted to go back, or they ask you to come back. And remember too that sometimes people are impulsive and they do rash things. Like they'll leave someone, they'll just break up with them or whatever, and then they apologize and they say that they, you know, were overreacting. But they could have like some kind of an imbalance where they do things very impulsively in a negative way. And they may be sincere that they didn't mean to do it, but they just keep doing those kinds of things. So you have to, you know, really reflect on that person's track record with you and see if maybe they don't really have that kind of control over their moods in a good way. They tend to just act up sometimes. Maybe not all the time, but when they are feeling really stressed out, they may, you know, just kind of like do self-destructive things. Because they might do the same thing with a job and just quit when they get angry. And maybe sometimes the anger is misdirected. So you don't want somebody to bring you down, drag you down in life. And even if you have felt like bad about getting left by that person, it might be a blessing in disguise in some cases. So you have to look at that. Also, addiction issues are showing up with those two cards. And again, you may try, I mean, I guess it could be you, Virgo, but if you're not the one who has the problem, if another person that you're with has a problem, remember that people promise to quit something, but if there's no evidence that they're doing anything to really take care of their problem, then it could be more empty words. And, you know, sometimes people quit just very decisively and they never pick it up again. I'm sure that that happens a certain percentage of the time, but it's just that it seems to me from my experiences that a lot of people, they want to quit, but they really also want to have what they had before. And so they're willing to say whatever it takes sometimes. Or maybe they just believe their own lies. But the thing is, it's like something serious like an addiction usually requires outer assistance if the person has had a lot of problems in the past trying to quit by themselves. So keep that in mind when somebody tells you that they've quit drinking or they've quit using, that they may be telling you what they want you to hear, but also what they want to believe within themselves. I hope that doesn't sound too cynical. I just think that living with somebody who has an addiction is a very stressful kind of a life, a very draining kind of a thing. And it's not, you don't really feel like you're in a relationship when somebody's always intoxicated. You just don't. And sometimes you even have to take care of them to a large extent. And it's almost like taking care of a sick child or something. There's not that adult type of one-on-one relationship that you're dealing with. It's more dependent. But anyway, what's coming in is the King of Wands. This is the last two cards you've got are both wands. You've got all of these wands, which are fire energy. And the King of Wands, I thought the King of Wands was double fire, but then I read somewhere, I think the King might represent the earth element. I know the Queen represents the water, so that kind of makes sense in a way. But the point is that the King of Wands is the ultimate example of self-empowerment, or as I put it, self-actualization. But there was another word that I was thinking of. Yeah, I guess self-actualization. And what that means is that the person is living life in a way that is where they feel like as in control of their life as is possible. Because obviously we can't control other people and we can't control outer events. We can only control what we choose to do and what we choose not to do. And the reason I love this card so much, and there's a lion in the backdrop, is because the reason I love this card so much is that I feel like this is the goal of life, is to be able to, choose what we do just about every moment of our day, where we don't have something that we have to do, that we're forced to do from the outer world, like, coming in. And that to me is the ultimate self-actualization. Also, the idea of utilizing your talents to the fullest, feeling like you are a conscious co-creator. That reminds me of the minor arcana version of the magician card in a way. That's how I view it. And so these other cards really set the table for that, like, what you've been through and where you're going. And I really like the trend, because then we have the outcome, the Page of Wands. Maybe you hear some news. Page can be messages that are joyful, wands, that light your fire, wands. You may be starting something that has you very excited. If it's something like a writing project or a blog, that's something that a Virgo person really excel in. And then it has to do with those messages that you're giving. And it's like you don't need someone else's approval, whether it's in a relationship or in a job situation, to showcase your own talents. Or, even to have other people appreciate your talents. With the Page of Wands, you may get some kind of a message that tells you just that somebody says, hey, would you like to join us? Maybe this is even a new job. We think you'd be a great fit for us. Okay, that's what I have for you, Virgo. I hope that this resonated. Happy birthday to you guys that are born under the sign of Virgo, because I'm recording this in August, so a whole bunch of you. If you'd like a private reading, I am primarily an astrologer, but I do private tarot readings as well. But I have double readings that I promote because they are the best value and, more comprehensive, called my deep dive readings. An hour of natal chart analysis and an hour of transits for a special price. And I have the whole enchilada, which is tarot and chart analysis. But I have single readings as well. You can find me at ReinaMoonAstrology.com. I have the link below. Take care.